Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Thank you for joining us today, December 2nd. It is Selection Sunday, if you will, as Alabama will learn their fate in the college football playoffs. Obviously, going to be the number 1 seed, but who are they going to play at the number 4 seed? We will talk about it, and we will get the official brackets from ESPN. And if you want to watch the ESPN show, tune into ESPN and find out. From what I read, from what I've read, it's going to be the brackets will be dropped at 11:30, and we'll find out who the top 4 teams are. So if you want to stick around with us and talk Alabama football, and especially last night's game, then you're more than happy to. And of course, I'll take your calls here in a little while at 205-686-3604. Last night, my goodness, I mean, so much to go over. An electrifying atmosphere once again at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. I was extremely thrilled to see the fight in this team. And I talked with a lot of players after the game. They talked about the resiliency and, just the determination that it took to beat, in my opinion, a top 4 Georgia team. And we'll see if Georgia makes the playoffs. I know a lot of people like to see Oklahoma and Ohio State take that spot. But in my opinion, you got to think that Georgia is one of the best 4 teams in college football. Think about what Alabama's done this entire season. And Georgia nearly defeated Alabama, the Alabama Crimson Tide, now 13-0 in the season. Took them down to the wire. And Kirby Smart, once again, did a fantastic job prepping for Alabama, had a great game plan, stopped Tua Tagovailoa. But in the end, it was another the quarterback off the bench that beat Georgia. How about that? Jalen Hurts comes in, gets some redemption, and what a storyline. The narrative could not be any more interesting with Jalen Hurts going back full circle. You can read all our content back on BamaInsider.com. But here's Nick Saban's press conference from last night to get things going, and we will wait for the college football playoffs to be revealed here in just a second.
Well, I guess that I can say wow. I think that our players deserve a tremendous amount of credit for the resiliency they showed in the game, the competitive spirit. They never gave up in the game. They kept fighting. We didn't obviously play our best game, especially in the first half in terms of execution. But you can't fault the heart and the will to win that the guys played with. And I'm proud of every one of them. I'm very proud of, Jalen, who got an opportunity at the end of the game. And I told him this is your time, and he certainly took advantage of it. And Josh has played well for us all year long. But this was a great team win. And I think the other thing is people have to give Georgia a lot of credit. They really played us better than anybody's played us all year. We played in a game here where we won 32-28 when we played Notre Dame in a national championship game. And, Georgia was the best team. They deserved to be in a championship game. And based on the teams that we've played this year, I think this team deserves to be in the playoff as well. I sure as hell don't want to play them again. All right, but that's the best compliment I can give you or give them. And their players did a fantastic job. They had a good plan. And we had to make a lot of adjustments in the game, and I think our coaching staff did a good job as well. So it's a great win. Winning the SEC is something that's really significant to me, means a lot to our players. This is a great league, has tremendous amount of prestige and great fans, and our fans were certainly helpful and instrumental in helping us get the momentum of the game late in the game. So we certainly appreciate that. So great win.
All right, thank you, Coach. If you have a question for Coach, for Jalen, for Josh, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. Again, please give your name and affiliation. We'll start here in the front left.
Coach Saban, Steve Moulton, 97.7 The Zone out of Huntsville, only giving up 1 touchdown in the second half defensively. What adjustments were made at halftime, Coach?
Well, they had formationed us in a couple things that confused our players a little bit. And sometimes when your players get confused, then they're confused on the things that they did practice. So I think we just needed to get everybody settled down and making the right adjustments. And I think we played a little better, in the second half because of it. We still gave up a couple big plays, but they missed a field goal and only scored 1 touchdown, so that was really good. Uncharacteristic for us to drop as many balls as we did today, throw interceptions like we did today. But, you know, we kept fighting in the game and really proud for that.
Okay, we'll go down right here. AP.
All right, we'll come back to Nick Saban's press conference. And, of course, you can find all our coverage back on BamaInsider.com. The college football playoff bracket has not been released just yet, and I will take your calls in just a little while. If you want to go watch the official playoff show, please go do it. It's on ESPN right now. As soon as the brackets are released, then we will discuss that. So you got to have Alabama at the number 1 spot, right? Number 2 has got to be Clemson. Number 3 and 4. I mean, is it that obvious? I mean, are you really going to give Notre Dame the 3 spot? Are they going to put Notre Dame at the 4 spot? Are you going to have Georgia slide into the playoffs? What about Oklahoma and Ohio State? If you could post your playoff bracket prediction in the comment box, I'd like to see who you have making the Final Four for the college football playoffs. I mean, I'll give you mine right here. I like Alabama. Number 2, I like Clemson. Number 3, I like Georgia. I think Georgia is absolutely deserving of a college football top 4 spot. I mean, to play Alabama, how they played them last night, Nick Saban said it himself. Who knows more football than Nick Saban? Nobody, right? I mean, you're talking about the GOAT saying that they deserve a spot in the college football playoffs. I co-sign with Saban, and at the number 4 spot, probably Notre Dame. And I like Alabama, Notre Dame, and the Cotton Bowl. And then I would like to see Georgia and Clemson in the Orange Bowl, and probably, I mean, it's going to be tough to get past Georgia again. I'm not going to lie. I mean, what a quality program Kirby Smart has built up in quite some time. I want to get to the offensive stats, and you're going to check that out right here on BamaInsider.com. Thanks for joining us, by the way. Remember, the college football playoff selection show is on ESPN right now. The bracket is not dropped. When the bracket does drop, I will bring that up, and we will discuss the matchups. Right now, just highlighting last night's incredible game between Alabama and Georgia. Alabama coming from behind to defeat the Georgia Bulldogs again in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 35-28. Here are the stats from last night. Tua Tagovailoa struggled all night long. I felt like he was really, you guys agree with me? He was holding the football for a very long time last night. 10-25, 164 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Should have been really 3 interceptions last night. Our quarterback rating at 92.3. Jalen Hurts steps in, and this is an important note. At the time Tua Tagovailoa left the game, Alabama was 0-for-6 on 3rd down conversions. Jalen comes in after Tua goes down with the ankle injury. He is 5-for-5 on 3rd down conversions. I mean, sometimes, you just need that player to come in with a spark, just like the game in January. It's incredible how similar those 2 games are. Jalen comes in, finishes the game 7-9. And 82 yards and a touchdown pass and a rushing touchdown. Also had 28 yards on the ground with that touchdown run to put Alabama on top 35-28. What an incredible ending to last night's game, and what an incredible story for Jalen Hurts. Spoke with Averion Hurts after the game, who is Jalen's father, and he talked about the character and how proud he is of Jalen as a man. You can read those stories on BamaInsider.com. Leading the pack for Alabama rushing-wise is Josh Jacobs, who put it into 4-wheel drive plenty of times last night. Had that hiccup as he fumbled in the goal line, then recovered his own football in the end zone. 8 attempts, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns, longs to 59 yards. He's absolutely playing at a very high level. I would expect him to head to the NFL draft. I'd be shocked if he doesn't. Damian Harris, 9 attempts, 52 yards. Talked with him last night as well. Talked about having the right psychological disposition when your back is against the wall. He said, obviously, that's important to have. You can find the interview on BamaInsider.com. Good stuff with Damian Harris. Najee Harris didn't seem to get a ton of carries. I mean, it's kind of seemed like Najee's kind of faded out in these later games. I'm not sure why, because he's a very dynamic running back. 4 attempts, 15 yards. Jalen Waddle, true freshman. 4 receptions, 113 yards, 1 touchdown. Henry Ruggs, 3 receptions, 49 yards. Irv Smith, 3 receptions, 35 yards. And what's up with the drops last night? I cannot believe the amount of drops. That's just as Saban said, very uncharacteristic for this team to have those type of mental errors. I mean, this team does not drop the football, especially those wide receivers. Those are future NFL guys, and really shocked to see the amount of drops. Jake Fromm for Georgia completely balled out last night, outplayed Tua, 25 of 39, 301 yards, passing 3 touchdowns, quarterback rating 154.3. Incredible performance last night, and he gets beat. He gets beat. It was, what a game. DeAndre Swift and Holyfield had, DeAndre Swift had 16 carries for 75 yards. Holyfield had 14 attempts for 60 yards. Those running backs, wow, that's what it must be like facing Alabama's running backs. Those guys could certainly contribute here at Alabama, and I think though the Alabama and Georgia running backs very, very similar. DeAndre Swift also had 6 receptions for 63 yards. And how about the play of Calvin Ridley's younger brother, Riley Ridley, making some grabs last night? 4 attempts, 48 yards, and grabbing a touchdown against Alabama. What a game. And then as we look, let me see if I can bring this up a little bit better. At the total yards, Alabama had 403 total yards, Georgia 454 yards. Passing yards, as I mentioned, 301 yards for Georgia, 246 for Alabama. Rushing yards, about the same, 157 for Alabama, 153 for Georgia. Penalties, 3 for 10 for Alabama, 6 for 50. And this is an interesting point. We've talked about Alabama's special teams all year and how they've struggled in the kicking game and even the punt game. They had a blocked punt. But who would have thought last night that it would be Georgia's special teams that would make the errors? They had a missed field goal by Rodrigo Blankenship, who's pretty much money. And they also had, they went for that fake punt. And a lot of people are talking about that fake punt to be the turning point in the game. Obviously it was. Here are the defensive stats. Let me see if I can bring those up. Defensive stats you're looking at right now. The play of Savion Smith is, he's one of the best defensive backs in open space that can make open field tackles. Now, I do think he struggles at times in coverage, but look at that. 11 tackles last night, 8 solo tackles. He's a great open field tackler. Deontay Thompson, another guy who is very good in open space, making those tackles, 6 total tackles. Quinnen Williams, how about the play of him? Is he the real Heisman, right? 8 total tackles, 6 of them solo. Patrick Surtain, talked with him after the game as well. You can find that interview on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. 7 tackles, 6 of those solos. He's just a freshman playing at an incredible level. Patrick Surtain actually is, he's one of the best. Thanks for joining us. The playoff has not been revealed just yet. My name is Kyle Henderson at BamaInsider.com. Thanks for joining us. The playoff show, the official playoff show, is on ESPN, so I'm not trying to, hold you here. If you want to go watch the playoff show and then come back, feel free. I get it. And as soon as the bracket is released, I'll bring it back here, and we'll discuss it. You can call in, give me your thoughts, 205-686-3604. Let's continue with more Saban and Jalen Hurts, Josh Jacobs from last night. Here's that continuation of that interview.
Stedham, WHEP, Foley, Alabama. Coach, what are some of the things you try to tell your team at halftime, not schematically or something, but just about some of the intangibles? And did you see that 4th down play on some of their film, when they tried to go for it on 4th down? Did you see that in some of this film?
Not that particular play, but they have faked a couple times. And we were screaming on the bench because the formation they were in, the second guy was eligible. So we were afraid we weren't going to get him covered up, but we did. We were in punch safe. All right, so we had the defense out on the field. And, most of the time when you leave your defense out there, you can defend most of the fakes. And our guys did a good job. And it was a big play in the game because it gave us really good field position and allowed us to get out and score the winning touchdown.
Okay, we're going to go straight in front of me, about halfway back.
For all of you guys, I think before this, the closest margin of victory you had in a game this season was by more than 3 touchdowns. What does going through a game like this do for the team going forward?
Coach, you want to start?
Well, I always tell these guys, we don't look at the scoreboard. We're all trying to play our best, be our best, play the next play, be the best version of yourself. That's what creates the most value for us. And so hopefully they play that way all the time because the score really doesn't matter. When somebody looks at you and evaluates you as a player, they don't put the scoreboard up to determine how you were playing. They just watch you play. So why should that matter, what the score is? Now, I do think there's lessons to be learned in terms of the technical aspects of clock management and some of the things that we had to do, to get back in the game and to go down and win the game. But we've been in games like that before, and we played in big games before, so we got a lot of lessons to learn in this game, but a lot of them are just basic execution. And the message that I gave our players going into this game was, look, we have to focus on what's in front of us. All right, don't make the game too big. Don't worry about winning the championship. Worry about executing. Next block, next catch, next play, and execute. And that's what we did not do very well in the first half.
Jalen? Competitiveness of the game and being a tight game throughout.
What Coach said.
Josh?
Our goal as an offense is always to score 1 point more than the opponent. So we knew coming in that it was going to be a tough game. We knew throughout the week, so we grinded throughout the week to practice for that. So basically just preparation.
All right, we're going to go back over on the right side along the aisle.
Greg Collier, Action Sports and News. Jalen, tell me, what does it feel like for you to be there and handle the situation that you did all year long and then have this opportunity to come out? What does it feel like to be able to contribute to this victory for you today?
Well, it kind of feels like I'm breaking my silence. I haven't said anything all year, but, this team has worked really hard in the off season, last spring, and, we know what adversity looks like, and, sometimes we may get hit in the mouth, but that we're going to respond. And I think we did a great job of finding a way to get it done today. I think we did a great job of doing that.
All right, that was Jalen Hurts. You can watch more of that on our Bama Insider YouTube channel. My name is Kyle Henderson at BamaInsider.com. Fresh back from Atlanta, jumped in the shower, jumped on the show. A lot of work to be done, a lot of football to be discussed after Alabama's thrilling 35-28 victory over Georgia. I'm actually going to open up the line if you guys want to call in. I'd like to hear a couple things. I would like to hear your thoughts on Jalen Hurts, and if you think he'll stick around, or if you think he's going to exit out, and what a performance. And I think it's pretty obvious that he will transfer, and starting to hear rumblings about a couple places that he could potentially transfer to, and I think Nick Saban, he was right at the beginning of the season. It's important to have two quality quarterbacks, and it certainly came in handy last night and at the beginning of the season for Alabama. I mean, that was you couldn't have scripted a better story for Jalen. I mean, that was simply incredible, and to really see it go full circle for this young man, really happy for him. 205-686-3604 is the call-in line. Want to get your thoughts on Jalen Hurts, and as soon as the playoffs break, we will talk about the playoffs. Now, Alabama, likely the number 1 seed. Clemson in the number 2 spot. Number 3, you got to think. Is it easy just to slide undefeated Notre Dame in, or do you put an Oklahoma at number 3? Do you put Notre Dame at 4? Do you put Georgia in the playoffs? And the playoffs haven't been dropped right now. I know everybody's asking about, the playoffs, but they haven't been dropped right now. We're still waiting on ESPN, and that show is on, obviously, ESPN, and should be revealed, they're saying, at 11:30 Central Time. I have a question for you in the comment box as well. Did Tua lose the Heisman Trophy last night to Kyler Murray? What do you think of that? It's a question to be debated. He certainly didn't play well last night, but I think if you look at the season collectively, Tua didn't even play in most fourth quarters, and the numbers that he put up from the first quarter to the third quarter maybe are enough to still get him the Heisman. I don't know. I was talking with our team writer, Tony Tsoukalis, on the way back from Atlanta, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem like Tua is the favorite anymore to win the Heisman Trophy. A tough way to go against a very good defense. I'll check out your comments, Derek. I appreciate it. There's a lot of comments coming in, but I appreciate the feedback. Call line is open, 205-686-3604. Still waiting on the playoffs to be announced. And I wanted to also bring up see if I can get you another interview. Had some good stuff last night. There was a wide variety of interviews. So how it works after the game for bowl games and for conference championships is you can go into the locker room right after and you can talk with all the players. I mean, it's kind of like the locker room is open. So it's easy to get interviews with, a lot of players that you haven't talked to. And that's something that our staff, we wanted to talk to several players that we hadn't spoken to last night. And here's an interview I thought was really interesting with Patrick Surtain. So let me bring that up and let me make sure it's framed right for you guys. Looks kind of tight on the side. Here we go. Let's see how this works out. All right, this is Patrick Surtain. And I want you to watch in this video. I mean, this is a freshman. And how well-versed and how well-spoken he is for a freshman. Patrick Surtain, you've contributed so much as a freshman. What have you learned this year?
I learned a lot, being a freshman on, this great team. I learned a lot, from the older guys especially. Playing for Alabama, it's a big deal. And, stepping in for this team is a blessing.
You came in during that Ole Miss game and starting ever since. Was there ever a time where you were nervous to come in and contribute at this level?
There was some jitters at first, but as the season went on, I knew what I had to do. I knew what I had to prepare for, and as I got in the game, I got more comfortable.
One coach that we don't really hear from that much is Carl Scott. He's new as well. What have you learned from him this year?
Man, I learned a lot. Coach Scott, he's my dude. He gives good detail for the DBs. He teaches us well. That's his main thing. He's a great overall coach.
You guys had to fight tonight. You guys had to come out, fight for every quarter. What did Coach tell you at halftime?
We had to make some key adjustments at first, but as soon as we made them adjust the second half, we played well and prepared better.
What was the difference? Your father played at the highest level. What does he tell you, when you guys get a chance to talk about your play and your development?
I learned a lot from my dad, since from high school. He taught me a lot, a lot of technique, how to be a cornerback, stuff like that. And I'm blessed, to have him, especially as a father figure, teach me those things and teach me the ropes.
Before I let you go. All right, that was Patrick Surtain. You can watch all those videos on BamaInsider.com. Still waiting for the playoffs to be dropped. Probably getting closer. I mean, it should be top of the half hour at 11:30. We're waiting on the brackets, and be interesting to see who Alabama pairs up with. I personally would like to see Alabama take on a Notre Dame type team in the semis. I would like to see that game go down in Dallas, and I would like to see Clemson in either Georgia or Clemson in Oklahoma down in the Orange Bowl. A lot of people just continue to really like Oklahoma, and I get it. High scoring offense, but no defense. Right? No defense. Is a quality win over West Virginia really impressive to everybody? Is it impressive? Not really to me. Is a win over Texas impressive? I don't think so. I like what Georgia did against Alabama. Straight up, one of the best 4 college football teams. And isn't that what the playoffs is geared towards, is the top 4 teams? Right? I think... I don't know. I just don't like. I just don't think that Oklahoma is one of the top 4 teams in college football. I think Kyler Murray is a fantastic player. I've said that many times. Tell me this: do you think Oklahoma would beat Georgia? I certainly don't. Do you think Oklahoma would beat Notre Dame? Probably. Do you think Georgia would beat both Notre Dame and Oklahoma? Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think. I don't think that's going to happen. I think seating committee, at least looking at, listening to college football analysts who know more than me, it looks like Oklahoma's going to get that spot. So I don't know. Also in the news, you saw it, Mike Locksley of Alabama, offensive coordinator at Alabama, looks like he's going to apply for the Maryland coaching position. And I would assume that's either today or tomorrow on Monday. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about Mike Locksley, potentially leaving this team? It seems like it happens every single year at Alabama. I feel like Mike Locksley, though, is provided, a lot of experience, not just from an offensive standpoint, but also recruiting. I mean, if you look at Locksley, what he's done here at Alabama over the last 2 seasons, he's been here 3 seasons. He was an offensive analyst the first time. Then he was a receivers coach. And, this year, the offensive coordinator. I mean, you think it'd be a big blow to lose Mike Locksley? I don't know. What are your thoughts? Sound off in the comment box. Should apply for that Maryland position today or tomorrow. And I think he's got to be the favorite. I mean, he's from Maryland. He's coached at Maryland twice before. He dominates the Maryland area when it comes to recruiting. So the problem I have with this is he's in my opinion one of Alabama's best recruiters, and he's the lead recruiter for Trey Sanders and Evan Neal, 2 5-stars out of the IMG. So I think that could hurt. But I think Nick Saban, as you know, always playing chess, not checkers, right? He's always got another coach in waiting. And you start to look who else Alabama has. Well, they have Dan Enos, who did a fantastic job at Arkansas and then was scooped up by Michigan before Nick Saban brought him back down to Tuscaloosa. So Nick Saban already prepared for Mike Locksley's exit. And I think you had to be, just because Mike Locksley, he's a head coach in waiting, just like every single staff member here at Alabama is. So I think it'd be a big loss for Alabama, but Dan Enos and Josh Gaddis certainly capable of continuing this high-powered offense with Alabama. But the one thing that I don't like to see, especially on our message board, is sometimes it's, when the offense isn't doing well, it's on Locksley, and when the offense is doing well, it's on Tua. It's like it kind of all works together. And I think Locksley, what he's done in his career, speaks for itself. I mean, great recruiter, and a very good offensive mind. So, if things work out with him in Maryland, it'll just be another assistant coach that has jumped up to the next level. And, Dan Enos and Josh Gaddis will pick up the place. But who does Alabama then add? Well, check this out. So Greg Byrne, who was the athletic director here at Alabama, guess who he hired when he was at Arizona as the AD? Does anybody know? He hired Rich Rodriguez. And just a couple weeks ago, Rich Rodriguez was in Tuscaloosa. Saw him in the football complex. I didn't see him, but other reporters saw him in the football office. So could you imagine if Locksley exits out to Maryland and he slide in Rich Rodriguez? I mean, he's like the godfather of the zone read. That would play wonderful for Alabama. So I think these are the things. All right. Everyone's saying that the rankings are up. So so let's tune in. I'm going to be looking at my phone, and you guys can stay with me as we look at the college football playoff rankings. All right. So give me 1 second. And as soon as the playoff rankings come up, I'll make it all nice and pretty, and then we can talk about the playoff rankings. All right. So got a blank bracket on the screen, and waiting for these to drop. I'm still here, by the way. Just waiting like everybody else, waiting for the college football playoff rankings to drop. Should be anytime. And I don't know. Guys, a little nervous. I guess for like selfish reasons, I don't know. I don't want to go to is it wrong of me? I don't want to go to Fort Lauderdale. I'd rather go to Dallas to watch the Cotton Bowl. I want to go to Jerry's World. All right? Is that bad? Am I a terrible person for wanting to go to Jerry's World instead of Fort Lauderdale? I would like to see, I guess, but see, I don't think the committee will put Alabama and Oklahoma in at the Cotton Bowl. It's so close. Norman, Oklahoma is so close to Dallas, right? I just don't think so. So I think if Alabama and Oklahoma do get paired up, I think they'll put them in. I think they'll put them in the Orange Bowl. I also think, but whatever the case, I mean, it's all good. I'm just, I'm excited. I'm excited to see this this playoff ranking start to happen. So it should be any time now. Just waiting for the playoff rankings. You're waiting with me. And then once the playoff rankings do drop, feel free to call in and let's talk about it. 205-686-3604 is the call in line. And we are waiting currently for the college football playoff rankings to officially drop. Drum roll, please, right? Let's see. I'm trying to find a way, too, to just add on this playoff bracket that we have. Oh, is this it right here? All right, looks like we are here. All right, ESPN, let's see what you got. What is the committee going to do? Post your final college football playoff predictions. We should be close. We are waiting for the bracket, and I think we are close. And you can watch the live, release on ESPN right now. I mean, you don't have to hang out with me. I mean, I won't feel bad. You can come back and hang out with me. Here it is. Alabama is the number 1 seed, 13-0. Number 2, you gotta think it's Clemson. The number 2 team is Clemson, another 13-0 team. Okay, the number 3 spot. Who you think it is? Let's see. Clemson fired up, getting the number 2 spot. Number 3 is the anticipation, right? Notre Dame. Notre Dame is the number 3 spot. So Clemson and Notre Dame, the 2 and 3 seeds, same side of the bracket. And number 4. Number 4 is, let's see. Oh, drama. Drama, they're keeping us waiting. These are the playoff resumes. Georgia, Oklahoma, Ohio State. Who is it going to be? Tell us. Who is number 4? Cakewalk for Clemson. I agree. Cakewalk for Clemson. Yo, Kerry, I hear you, man. Still waiting. Derek Wilson, star of the show, helping me out. He's my co-host. Derek's my co-host on the show. Is it Oklahoma, Don P? Is it? I must be on delay. No, Oklahoma. Where is the game going to be? Oh, it is. Let's see. I'm on delay. Oklahoma, Alabama, and Oklahoma. So where are these games going? Let's see. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the bracket now. I haven't heard where they're going to play these games. So if when I do find out, we can talk about that as well. Let me just get a new graphic up real quick. What do you think about the matchups? I mean, it's pretty much how we thought they'd be, right? All right. What I'm doing is I'm going to get you guys a fresh graphic right quick. Wow. Okay. Well, there it is. All right. It should be updated now. All right. There it is. Alabama taking on Oklahoma in the semifinals. Clemson and Notre Dame on the other side of the bracket. And then the number 5 and 6 spot, Georgia and the Ohio State. Wow. So, I mean, maybe Georgia was closer to making this tournament than we thought. I don't know. Okay. All right. Alabama, it's the Orange Bowl, everybody. Alabama, just as we suspected. So Alabama is going to the Orange Bowl. Let me update the bracket again, and then we can talk about the matchup. All right. So I'm going to Miami. All right. What do you think? Tough matchup for Alabama. What do you think about the matchup between Alabama and Oklahoma? Sound off in the comment box. Kyler Murray versus Tua Tagovailoa. Hey. Two Heisman finalists, right? Fighting it out. All right, let me update this, and then we can get going. And just so you know, I edit everything like on the fly, and I do the show, so it's wear a bunch of hats. All right, so there's the playoffs. Alabama taking on Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl. And on the other side, you have Clemson and Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl. What do you think? What do you think about the matchups? I think this is my, I'm not going to call it a hot take per se, but I don't know. I mean, Oklahoma, yeah, they got the offense and they can slice and they can do everything, but maybe this is better than Alabama drawing Georgia. I mean, who wants to see Georgia again? I mean, I don't think if you're an Alabama fan, you almost have to be relieved that you're not seeing Georgia again, that Georgia's not even in this bracket because Georgia was that good. I think Oklahoma, despite their, suspect defense, they got that offense that is high powered. They're going to score their points, and it's going to be a great test for Alabama's secondary. The good news is Alabama's secondary, they're built for this type of game. I mean, especially at the safety position. I mean, Deontay Thompson and Xavier McKinney, I mean, two very seasoned players. The only question, the area where I guess I'd be concerned about is Savion Smith. Sometimes I feel he has problems in coverage and going against a team like Oklahoma. And then on the other side, you have Patrick Surtain, who's a freshman. I don't know. I mean, that could present challenges. Clemson and Notre Dame. On the other side, I think Clemson has to be, 2-touchdown favorite going into this game? I mean, Clemson's playing at a fantastic, very high level. And I think Clemson, I certainly agree. I think it was Alabama, Clemson, Georgia in terms of my overall rankings. I mean, Clemson's got a very good quarterback, got a very good set of running backs, very good on the outside on defense. Their front four, I would say that their front four. Do you think Clemson's front four might be better than Alabama's defensive, front three? I mean, I get it. Raekwon Davis, Isaiah Buggs, Quentin Williams, that's a fantastic trio. But that foursome that they have over at Clemson is pretty impressive. So there's a playoffs. I mean, it's set. Alabama takes on Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl. Clemson takes on Notre Dame. Hey, the call-in line is open, by the way, 205-686-3604. If you want to call in and give me your thoughts on these college football playoffs, now would be a great time to do it. I'm going to update a little bit more on the show, and then we'll continue. And let's see, next up is Oklahoma. All right, that top ticker should be updated as well. Kyler Murray versus Tua. And we still have to get an update on Tua and his injury. I mean, it was his ankle. Nick Saban will have a teleconference later this afternoon. I will, if there's any interest, I'll record the teleconference and I'll upload it to YouTube so you can check it out and listen to it. I'm sure we'll get an update from Nick Saban. So this is what I saw firsthand last night at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, okay? Because there was some confusion on if Tua had to get carted off the field, and the answer is yes and no, okay? So when he had his ankle injury, he didn't get carted off the field. He went into the medical tent. I was physically on the field, so I saw all this firsthand. He went into the medical tent. He stayed there for a while, came out, but he never got carted off the field while the game was in play. Now, after the celebration, after, everything had cleared out, then they carted him off. We do not know the extent of his ankle injury. I would assume, that it's probably nothing to be too worried about, especially with the amount of time that Alabama has to prepare for Oklahoma. I mean, the schedule is on Christmas, right after Christmas Day on the 26th will be the opening media day for Alabama and Oklahoma. So you have, plenty of time to, 3 weeks really to get healthy. And I think Alabama is going to certainly need to, nurse a couple of these nagging injuries. Another guy I'm looking at and questioning is Terrell Lewis. Terrell Lewis, right? I mean, is he going to play for this Oklahoma game? He certainly could. That would be a huge addition for Alabama. Yeah, and I think Tua has to heal. And it was just great last night to see Jalen step up and get some redemption against Georgia at that stadium where everything went down. I mean, you couldn't have wrote a better script for Jalen Hurts last night. And this is obviously still Tua's team, and I talked about it a little bit earlier. I think if you're Jalen Hurts, you're the biggest free agent now in college football, right? You can go anywhere you want. I wonder where he's going to go. I've heard rumblings of Texas. I've even heard Auburn. I don't believe he'd go to Auburn. All right, we got a call coming in. All right, good evening. Not evening. Good day. What's up? Could you please turn down the volume in your background, please? On your computer?
Yes, sir. I got my phone down.
You're good. All right. Yeah, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Nick from Athens, Alabama. I just wanted to call in and say Roll Tide real quick and talk about how Josh Jacobs is probably going to run all over Oklahoma.
Yeah, go ahead. Give me your thoughts on Josh Jacobs.
Man, Josh Jacobs, he's just like a bowling ball going downhill, man. When he comes through that line, if somebody gets in front of him, he's going to put power to them and knock them on their backside.
Would you say that Josh Jacobs is playing at the highest level out of any of the running backs right now in Alabama?
Right now he is, because he's doing the overall game. He can catch the ball. Mm-hmm. He goes out and blocks very well. He's our best blocker on the whole team. He's fast, and he punishes the defensive linemen and defensive backs especially the defensive backs to try to tackle him.
What were your thoughts last night as Jalen Hurts is leading this team in the fourth quarter?
Well, we always knew Jalen could do it because he's done it before, and I'm glad he got his chance because he deserved it more than anybody on the whole team. He deserved to show what he had, and when he got out there, he showed exactly what he had like he did before. So anytime he's out there, we know that we've got a chance to win, regardless which quarterback's out there.
Absolutely. I think he's quite simply a winner. Before I let you go, Nick, and thanks for calling. I appreciate you calling today. this matchup against Oklahoma, what are your initial thoughts with Alabama taking on such a high-powered offense?
I know our cornerbacks are young, but we do have some good safeties back there. And number 92 is going to get in the face of that little quarterback for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to be able to handle them. I don't think we'll shut them out for sure, but I think we'll be able to outscore them, especially if Tua's in the game.
Certainly. And one last thing on the other side, Notre Dame and Clemson. Give me your quick thoughts there.
Notre Dame and Clemson, I just see Notre Dame not being able to handle Clemson's run game.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson's going to run all over them. Their young quarterback can throw the ball just like anybody out there.
Definitely.
And Clemson's going to handle them.
Hey, Nick, well, thank you so much for calling in. Please call again next time.
Yes, sir. Roll Tide.
Yeah. Roll Tide! Yep, got to roll Tide in there. All right, call line is open. You can call in and chat with me about the college football playoffs. Here is the bracket in case you missed it somehow. But you have Alabama taking on Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl, and then you have Clemson taking on Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl. Those games, the Cotton Bowl is in Dallas and the Orange Bowl is in Miami. So we will have coverage starting right after Christmas, bring you all the interviews, tons of coverage between Alabama and Oklahoma. The winner of those two games, they will meet in San Francisco at Levi's Stadium for the national championship. So we'll go, if you're an Alabama fan, set some money aside for Christmas because you might be going from Miami across the country to San Francisco to follow the Crimson Tide. That is if they are able to knock off Oklahoma. Now, how crazy would this be, right? How crazy would this be? What if Alabama, they get past Oklahoma, right? And Clemson gets past Notre Dame. They meet again. It's like these two teams can just not stop playing each other. And, Jalen has to come in some form and get some redemption against Clemson. He'd be doing like the redemption tour, right? You're next. But I figure by that time, Tua's got to be healthy. It's just, I have to bring this up and I have to ask a question. Do you feel that Tua is injury prone? If we look back on all the injuries that Tua has had, it's concerning, right? He didn't even play in the spring game. I get it. Quarterbacks are going to take hits. Things are going to go down, but he's been hurt several times. And maybe this is just one of those things where it's just kind of this year he's been injury plagued. Because I haven't heard about any injuries from him in the past. So maybe this is just, a bad year for him. But he's played every single game, right? Last night, if you saw, he got his ankle stepped on by offensive lineman who is 300 pounds. All of our ankles would be shattered, right? So Tua's a big dude. I think he'll be okay. And we will get an injury update on Tua Tagovailoa later today on Nick Saban's teleconference that he will have. It's like a college football playoff teleconference that they'll have later on this afternoon. So I'll bring that to our YouTube channel and, of course, BamaInsider.com. So Alabama taking on Oklahoma next, and got a few more things for you. And of course, the show is still open, and the call-in line is 205-686-3604 if you want to call in. We still have this offer going on. You can get $99 in team gear. You can get an Alabama sweater, an Alabama jersey, with a new annual subscription. The promo code when you check out is 99cyber. Look for the sign-up code on BamaInsider.com. If you're interested in becoming a member of BamaInsider.com, please email me at Kyle@BamaInsider.com. Again, the promo is you get $99 in team gear with a new annual subscription. Tons of coverage all the time at BamaInsider.com. The promo at checkout is 99cyber. My name is Kyle Henderson. Usually I do this show in the evening time on Sunday night, but I wanted to bump it up because of the college football playoff show. And I also need rest. Last night, I still need to digest what happened last night. It was incredible. The atmosphere was electric. And wow, the last two times I've been in Atlanta, it has just been it's really been two unbelievable games. I never thought that I would see a game better than the national championship game, Was that game, am I maybe being like a victim of the moment right now? Was the national championship game better than this game? Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Who cares? I mean, what we saw last night was just something that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. Got another call coming in. That's what I like to see. All right. Hello. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling from?
Yes, this is Willie Carter calling from Chicago, Illinois.
Hey, Willie. How you doing? How's the weather out there in Chicago? You getting snow out?
Man, it's raining a little bit, but it's still like 34 degrees, so it ain't too cold yet.
All right. So the college football playoffs are set. What are your thoughts on Alabama taking on Oklahoma?
Man, I'm not gonna lie, I'm worried. I mean, but before yesterday, I wasn't as worried. Alabama's offense was playing good. Defense was starting to pick up towards the end of the season. But after yesterday's performance, I know they have a month off, so I know they'll be able to straighten things. But I'm a little bit worried. I think the way we struggled stopping the run with Georgia, I mean, Oklahoma can throw the ball and they can run the ball as well to some degree. So I hope our defensive line stepped up, and I hope they do. Maybe Terrell Lewis if he comes back, maybe that'll give us a little spark. But if our defense plays like they will against Oklahoma, we will get blown out because they can score easily. I mean, if we were down by 14 at halftime to Georgia, I mean, imagine Oklahoma, because they can just keep scoring. So I think we're going to have to be able to run the ball and control the game a little bit. But, I mean, Oklahoma is for real. Their defense is trash. But, I mean, I'm a little bit worried. I think we'll still beat them, but I'm worried.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. And let's rewind to that game against Texas A&M. Kellen Mond had over 100 yards rushing against Alabama. And Kellen Mond is no Kyler Murray. I mean, Kyler Murray, can slice up the best of them, and he can throw a great football as well. So you're right. It is concerning on that regard. On the flip side, what we saw from Alabama's offense last night was uncharacteristic with the drops. I mean, we've never seen Irv Smith drop a pass. Jerry Jeudy, he's like Velcro, right? What does the unofficial coach say? Like, go gadget, like Velcro? I mean, none of those guys drop passes. And we saw mental errors last night. I don't think you're going to see that in this next game. So I would say the over-under for that game is probably going to be like 85 points or something like that. Ridiculous. Right. On the other side, you have Clemson and Notre Dame. I mean, you got to think Clemson's a 14-point favorite, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm not even – I mean, Notre Dame, I think, everyone's talking about, when they changed their quarterback to Ian Book and how they're much better on offense. And they is somewhat better on offense. But their defense is solid. But, I mean, Clemson, they can run the ball. They can also do the play action. They can also throw the ball. Trevor Lawrence is improving week by week. And I do not think Notre Dame's going to be able to stop them at all. So I think Clemson will win. I think they'll, struggle like they kind of been doing the last couple of games against Pitt and against Duke and things like that. They kind of struggled early on. But I think once they figure them out and once they start to catch momentum and get things going, I think they'll win by at least 14 easily.
Last night, Alabama and Georgia, I mean, most thrilling game so far, in my opinion, in college football. What were your thoughts there at the end of the game when Jalen is leading this team down for what it eventually turned into the game-winning touchdown?
So, I was extremely proud of Jalen, for staying and sticking it out and things like that. I mean, he played tremendous. You can actually see Dan Enos, the improvement he's having. I mean, a lot of those throws, besides the Jalen Waddle, a lot of those throws wasn't the receiver was wide open. He made those Irv Smith throws and things like that, and then the one to Judy in the end zone. Yeah. Those were pinpoint accurate throws that I don't know if he would have probably made last year. So I think it definitely helped him stand and working with Dan Enos. But, you got to take your hats off to Jalen from what he's been through and how he came out. He wasn't, bothered. He didn't let it get to him that now we needed his help. He just came in the game. He played his position well. He rallied the team. And, you got to take your hat off to him. He did an incredible job. Yeah. But I got to bring up one thing. The Mike Losky, this is what I wanted to call.
Okay.
That was probably the worst offensive play call I have ever seen. throughout the whole entire year. He called the worst game. I mean, if you looked early on, we were running the ball easily. Mm-hmm. If you looked at the first possession, Jalen Waller does a good punt return. Mm-hmm. We come down, Damian Harris get a big run. We get in the red zone. He calls 3 straight passing plays. We should have scored on the first time we were in the red zone. And then 2 of those interception. And I just don't understand why he just continued to pass the ball and didn't run. And if you look at the average yards that we get in the first half of the time we run, we were getting 6-7 yards a pop. I just don't. And you see the receivers were dropping balls. You see that, Tua was kind of struggling a little bit. I just don't understand why he just continually passed the ball instead of run the ball. And then when he brought in Jalen Hurts and they did the 2 trick plays when Jalen and Tua was in there, that was completely not necessary. Because we were getting some yards passing, but we were running the ball so effectively. And Mike Lofty, I don't know if he's worrying about the Maryland job or he's worrying about Tua winning the Heisman. I don't know what it was. But I think that game would have been completely different in the first half if you'd ran the ball more.
Let me play devil's advocate here for a second, okay? A couple of things. And I think you brought up one of those items. Was Loxley in Alabama trying to pat Tua's stats because Kyler Murray had just played for the Heisman, okay? And maybe that was the case because you bring up a great point. If you look at the first couple runs between Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris, Damian Harris, all of their first rushes went for more than 15 yards, right? I mean, they were pounding the rock. The other thing is I kind of question and I wonder, obviously Kirby Smart had a great game plan built up for Alabama. He's one of the best defensive masterminds in college football. But also, how about that ESPN feature on Tua with the whole belt thing? I mean, because that went bad for Alabama and Tua. Did that get obviously Tua there's no way to not read this stuff online. He's a young, impressionable kid. Close to his family. Do you think that story, because it turned out so negative, do you think it affected his play? Do you think it got into his mind?
I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't watch that thing. I was kind of missing. So I was watching the other games and I kind of missed that. So I don't really know too much about that situation. I saw the little articles, but I didn't read them. So I can't speak on that. But Tua doesn't seem like the type of person to really be listening to everyone, the outside noise, and Alabama players typically don't listen to outside noise. So it maybe has some effect on them. I think Tua played okay. I just think the one thing that he hasn't learned throughout this entire year, and even going back to the national championship game, is when there's not a play to be had. Jalen, if he didn't see his first read, he ran the ball. But Tua, sometimes when there's nothing there, he holds on to the ball, and it kind of bit us in the national championship game with the sack before he got the touchdown. So it did bail us out. But throughout this year, there's been times where just throw the ball away or run or tuck it and take the sack. You gotta take your loss. But there's too many times there's nothing there. He's trying to look for the big play and he doesn't throw it away or he doesn't take off and run. So I think that kind of that hurts him because he by him keeping the ball, he gets hit. And he is injury prone. I did see the question that you mentioned earlier. He is injury prone. There's no way around it. Every time he gets hit, I mean, he's slow to get up. So he is injury prone. But I don't know if that particular story hurt him. Maybe it did have some effect. But he still has some room to grow.
Hey, I appreciate you calling in. Please call again next time.
All right, thanks, Al.
Thank you so much. That was a good call-in. All right, that's a wrap for me. I need to get some rest. I need to digest the college football playoffs, last night's game, all the coverage back at BamaInsider.com. Thank you so much for joining us. As I always say at the end of our shows, thank you so much to our veterans and also to our members in the United States military. Great respect for what you do for this great country. My name is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Contact info up at the top, Kyle at BamaInsider.com. Follow us on Twitter at BamaInsider and get all your coverage back at BamaInsider.com. Thank you for joining us today. I will catch up with you guys soon. Tons of coverage, tons to read, to watch on BamaInsider.com from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This is the BamaInsider.com live stream. Thanks for joining us.